This one is a big plus for the convention, but there's been an uptick of people selling AI art at conventions. AI slop, which is a big boo. But this convention did a big W. This is a post that I saw about it, posted to Threads, written by Karen Hallion Art. Karen writes, Dragoncon is the best. Support human art. And it is a photo of a convention booth, except the artist is gone. And there's a big cardboard sign that says, vendor removed for selling AI images, hashtag art by humans. And a bunch of people, it looks like, has added extra stuff to this booth. There's some tape that says, AI is not art, in quotes. Another one says, just say no to AI slop. Another image says, all my homies hate AI. Boo this man. Hashtag art by humans. A cute little dragon, although the words are a little too small for me to read. A sick doodle. And then this big, big sign that says, El Bozo Cope Seeth. This is too funny. Conventions historically has been a space where artists can sell their art, hard work, and creations, not stupid AI slop that nobody asked for. Karen adds, for those saying it took them too long, I'd rather people do their due diligence and be as sure as possible before kicking somebody out of a show. It's a hell of a thing, and a false accusation and removal will be devastating. That's one of the things I hate about all of this. AI is poisoning the world. So a commenter by the name of War Tooth Designs adds, if anyone was wondering, it was booth A10 and the artist is OG Art Official on Instagram. It's private now. The artist allegedly was being rude AF too. A little article about it with screenshots. So there is an article. And again, let me add a disclaimer. Don't send hate to the parties involved, okay? So the article was published September 1st, today, by Rich Johnson to bleedingcool.com, and the title reads, Police called on artist accused of selling AI art at Dragoncon. The police were called. The vendor is named Oriana Gurez. This is public information on their own Instagram page, and it adds that Dragoncon currently lacks a clear public policy addressing AI art in its artist alley or exhibition guidelines. So here are some photos where you can see this is the convention booth, and there are what looks to be police involved in kicking them out. And this is an Instagram screen cap from Sean Crystal. And here are some more photos from Dane of Monkey Minion. And here are some more videos. This is a video posted by Ink Pulp, where you can see this is their booth and this is somebody in the background kind of taking everything down. Can you call police for this removal? I don't know, but it looks like apparently police or convention security was involved in the removal for this vendor. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? You do need some sort of supervision to kind of kick people out. I think it's funny. Here we have Karen in the comment section commenting clap, clap, clap. And this is another user on Threads, the Caleb King, writing AI slop gets shut down and escorted out of here at Dragoncon. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So here you can see they're walking by and the booth is being removed. Oh, so it's literally police as they are removing elements of their booth. Wow, that is wild. According to the article, the event Dragoncon doesn't actually have specific rules about selling AI, which I do think if conventions currently don't have rules about, hey guys, in our artist alley, AI is not allowed because you are not an artist if you generate images and claim that you made it and sell it, okay? This is the artist in question. This is their handle, OG Art Official. They have 11,000 followers, and as of now, their page has been privated. Again, don't send hate to this party, but they have a website called OrianaGurezArt.com, and this is their website. And this is the most absurd part to me, and this is always the most absurd part. The artist can draw. Look, there are a whole bunch of paintings here, hand painted. I'm assuming by the artists themselves, right? They have more paintings being sold, original paintings. They have prints of their paintings being sold, a Star Wars collection, right? Let's take a look at the originals. Here, let me take a look at this one. This original painting, acrylic oil on canvas. They can draw. They clearly can. They clearly have the hands to create handmade artwork. Now, I haven't seen photos of what they were selling at the convention, but then to actively make the choice, hey, you know the ability that I have that I worked years to hone so that I could create beautiful works of art, I'm just gonna give that the giant old middle finger and go to Midjourney and type in a bunch of prompts to go generate stuff instead. That always is a bit absurd. It wasn't like they can't draw, because they clearly can. I think it's pretty funny too. At the bottom of the website, it reads, note that sole copyright to the associated artworks and prints are fully retained by the artist. Any unauthorized reproduction or commercial use is in violation of US copyright law. Oh, okay, I see. So you can generate stuff with AI, but we can't steal your work. Of course, we should not steal your work. But just think it's interesting to make a choice like that. And then it gets one step worse, okay? There's this post on Blue Sky posted by Lauren Walsh. Lauren writes, I love getting waitlisted for a con so that somebody can sell AI images. It's like my favorite thing. Honestly, if a booth sells AI at a con where it's banned, people should be given the option to get refunds. And then Lauren quote retweets that, adding, okay, on the bright side, the police shut them down and they closed. If you bought anything from the A10 booth in Popped Artist Alley at Dragoncon, I definitely recommend charging back your purchases. Glad to see Dragoncon took this seriously. Still upset they took the place of an actual artist though. An artist like Lauren, you know? And Lauren adds, oh, and in case you feel bad about charging them back, here you go. Absolute trash person. So these are posted to Karen Hallian Art's Instagram story, and it looks to be a reshare of Ink Pulp's Instagram story. Now, this is right alleged, but it looks like a DM exchange between somebody and Oriana, where they send the screenshot where it says, OG Art Official is the AI culprit. And look what Oriana responds with. I share a screenshot of my sales this weekend, but I don't have to show it to give any explanations to you losers. This is another one, reposted by Karen Hallian, originally posted to Ink Pulp's story. And Oriana replies, you guys are sore because you don't sell shit and will be forever broke. Have fun being a broke bee. So you're just gonna be rude and make fun of all of the people that you scammed with AI generated images after getting kicked out by the police from the convention for AI images. Because I don't believe that stuff's art. Yeah, like also, exactly. What sales are you flexing? Because you were kicked out. So you didn't even get to finish selling at the convention. That's so absurd. And yeah, this is Ink Pulp's Instagram story where you can see the vendor taking down elements of the art pieces. This was the call out, right? This is a glimpse of their Instagram page before it went to private. And Ink Pulp writes, somebody wasn't happy I shared this true story. And it continues. And you can see this one. Wow. That is wild. Potentially, you might be able to charge back. I don't know the legalities of that. But I mean, if you went to an artist alley and purchased artwork assuming it was legitimate, it's definitely fraudulent if they defrauded you using AI generated images instead. So there's probably some way around it. I just feel bad for everybody who purchased things from this artist thinking it's legitimate, everybody who got scammed, and that spot that a legitimate artist could have taken to have the opportunity to make money and sell at a convention. And instead it was given to somebody who is so blatant and like cocky about the fact that they are scamming other people. So that's icky. Ew. Yeah, JC, was any of it AI art that was copyrighted characters, or was it their own work but created with AI? We don't know at the end of the day. I haven't seen images of the artwork they were selling at the convention. All we know is the convention determined that it was AI generated images, and as a result, they got kicked out for it. And that they basically admitted it, right? Because here's the thing, they have this IG exchange, these DM exchanges with what looks to be Ink Pulp, and they're really cocky, right? If it was a false accusation, then wouldn't they be like, wait, no, it was false. I didn't sell AI. I was falsely evicted. Here's my side of the story. It's none of that. They're just being a cocky a-hole in DMs. This clearly seems like an admission of guilt. It seems like, right? I don't know. I didn't see the images, but that's what it sounds like. Because anybody who is innocent would be denying it, no? It's weird, man. Ugh. There were some photos about the artwork that were circulating online that I can now show you guys. So this is Hair of Glee. And they write, the fake AI art of the vendors that were thrown out of Dragoncon look really tacky. So the face of the seller is censored, but you can see in the background, look at the pieces. These are like AI generated IP. So we've got Darth Vader, Batman, Stormtrooper, the Monopoly dude, Pink Panther, with AI graffiti slapped all over it. And then it's a bit blurry, but another example of some like artwork, right? And then this is a really big close-up of the AI Rolling Stone Monopoly dude. Again, I feel like I don't need to point it out to you guys. It's like beating a dead horse, but like one thing that we can look at right now, why does Mr. Monopoly Man have 5 fingers on one hand and 4 on the other? You could argue it could be a stylistic choice for him to have 4 fingers instead of 5, but you would at least keep it consistent across the same dude, right? And not to mention, we have the Converses with this weird flower stamp logo and the shoelaces that aren't even shoelacing. This is most definitely AI. So how did they get away with doing this at Dragoncon? There's this thread posted by Monkey Minion Press, and Monkey Minion writes, I was gonna wait until I slept a bit after Dragoncon, but decided not to wait because there's a few different and sensationalized accounts going around about this. Originally posted to Blue Sky because Instagram and Facebook wouldn't let me post the full text. As always, FAI. Dane writes, I was next to one of the AI slop booths at Dragoncon, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. So as you may or may not know, there was a booth selling AI slop images printed on acrylic panels at Dragoncon. They were in booth A10. I was in booth A11. Here's what happened from my perspective. Thursday during load-in, the folks in charge of that space, a young woman, a young man, an older lady, and an older man, showed up and were clearly displeased with the layout of the area. As they set up their pro panel walls, they began to have issues because their equipment was the wrong size. The staff came and told them to rearrange it, and they did, but not happily. As we were getting ready to leave, they had started to put up product on the walls, and the stuff they started with was, while not to my taste, clearly made by a person. The thread continues, messy paintings of pop culture characters with abstract brushstrokes and a graffiti-style text. Not my thing, but that's how art works. There's something for everyone. This is important for later. Friday, we get in and the younger woman, Oriana, and the older man are nowhere to be seen. But the young man and older woman who helped set up were there. But there was different stuff in the booth. The paintings were still there, but now so were new images of various anime characters and comic characters, Monopoly Man and Snoopy, all bloomy and blurry with weird details and various numbers of fingers. I immediately clocked it as AI, but was too busy Friday to get away from my table. To ask somebody about it, thanks Dragoncon, and too tired by show close to track somebody down. I did ask the guy in charge of the booth, quote, so how many different artists do you represent? Because I see like 6 different styles here, end quote. So Dane continues, he replied with, quote, just her, the older lady's daughter and son, end quote. Right. Saturday, we came in and I tracked down a staffer and told them, quote, hey, the booth next to mine is selling AI. I know you'll have a policy against that, so I thought you'd like to know. She wrote it down and said she'd tell the AA head. Again, Saturday was crazy, but I saw the AA folks milling around and checking out the products in the booth next door, which was cool. Sorry, AA is like Artist Alley. It told me they took my observation seriously and at least investigated it. Sunday came around and I saw the Artist Alley folks around more, but the booth was still up, so I assumed they were gonna let them finish out the show and blacklist them. Not ideal, but also not the worst, given how many ways a confrontation during show hours could go sideways. Then Monday came. That morning, I got in at 9:45 and the Artist Alley folks, plus a few others and a cop, were already at the booth. The owners weren't in yet. I got set up, the show opened, and then the booth folks showed up about 15 to 30 minutes late. At which point, the Artist Alley staff descended upon them, like avenging angels. They took up positions, creating a wall across the entrance to the booth, telling attendees who stopped they were being removed and no longer available. And the scammers took down their displays and angrily packed their gear and left. The rest of the day passed without incident. Somebody, another artist I think, put aside in the booth telling attendees and other artists that they were removed from the space for selling AI slop. And then, as often as it happens at Dragoncon, it became a shrine for folks to leave offerings at. I had a lot of fun watching people walk by and pose with the empty booth and snap pics of the signs, as well as explaining to anyone who asked what happened. I spoke to the Artist Alley head after the show, and he told me that people in the booth submitted the pop art paintings for their application and were approved for those. He had no idea they were going to offer AI garbage and started working on the process for deleting them from the show as soon as he learned about it. For more details on that, I suggest reaching out to Dragoncon. I thank him, and I'm doing so here again. Thank you for doing it. Confrontation at a convention isn't fun or easy. And that's a story of how one of the AI sloppists at Dragoncon got bounced from the show, from the perspective of the guy next door. I apologize for any formatting, weirdness, or typos. I was posting this while the plane home was taxiing. So big dubs to Monkey Minion Press for sounding the horn, sounding the alarm about the AI seller next door, because a lot of people wouldn't have stood up to like call them out on it, because you know it jeopardizes in a way your position as well, right? Of like maybe they might kick you out for being problematic, who knows, right? Which I would argue they would be really effed up to do. But this is what sounds like how they managed to sneak in with AI works, because you have to get approved as an artist. So they submitted legitimate art, because again, when we looked at Oriana's website, there are a lot of legitimate looking pieces on there, and then replaced it with the AI works. We have a little bit of extra context from this YouTuber Inkwell. He makes amazing artwork. Like I have one of his pieces up in my kitchen, but he was vending at Dragoncon. Although he was, from what he described, like away from the booth, so he didn't really get to like fully see it. So the people at the booth like produced a speed paint to show Dragoncon staff. And this is allegedly the speed paint that was shown, which, okay, Inkwell says this in his video. And if you are an artist, okay, this is not a speed paint. This is a photo slideshow of a bunch of progressions of an art piece, which is very easily faked, okay? So this is why it's like a video slideshow like this is not going to be proof that your art is legitimate, because we didn't see you put brushstrokes down. We are seeing a bunch of photos smashed together in a 7-second GIF. And then also, secondly, this is not indicative of the art they were selling. They were selling art that looked like this. These are two very, very different styles. So you, hypothetically, if this was a legitimate drawing of a Japanese woman with a bunch of fans floating on water with a bunch of lily pads and koi fish around her, that is not the same as this pop art graffiti piece of Monopoly Man playing an electric guitar on the cover of Rolling Stones. Not the same thing. So it's looking real weird. But that's the extra context to the Dragoncon seller, this seller, who was rightfully tossed out for AI work. And also, for a little bit extra context for what Inkwell said, it was Oriana and her boyfriend when they were asked, hey, why does your art pieces look like they were made by a whole bunch of different people, right? They were like, at first they were like, oh, well, some of it's my art, some's my boyfriend's art. And then later they were like, oh, it's like a art collective, you know? Some is like Oriana's parents are also selling their art here, which is why it looks like it's made by 4 different people. Because it was, but they're all like part of our group, blah, 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 blah. Made by, I don't know, 2 different people, okay? You got freaking you got Midjourney, you got, what other like generative AI image softwares are there? Like, I don't know, freaking the Google Vimo thing is like videos, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's made by me and AI, okay? And that already is illegal according to Dragoncon's TOS because proxy sellers are not allowed, and selling somebody else's artwork that you didn't make is proxy selling. So that is the end of it. Well, they got booted out, rightfully so, but it still sucks that a legitimate artist wasn't able to vend in that spot because that spot was given to somebody who was deliberately trying to scam Dragoncon by submitting artwork and then taking the legitimate artwork, I guess, down and putting AI work to sell. That's crazy. What are your thoughts on the entire Dragoncon situation? Do you think it was fair for them to be thrown out for AI illustrations? Do you think it wasn't due to the fact that Dragoncon didn't really explicitly state that in their contract? And again, don't send hate to the artists involved. They clearly can draw, they have hands, but to choose to not do that is an interesting choice. And with the snarky responses on top of that. Anyways, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators like emotes, overlays, and stuff. I also have a coffee with free resources for streamers and creators, and I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. Hope to catch you guys there or in another video. Peace.